Most barndominium shapes make immediate sense. Rectangle. Done. L shape. Got it. U shape. Sure. Even the W and the O, I can explain those in 30 seconds. But this one stops people cold every single time. The S shape. Two curves. One continuous building. Flowing in opposite directions simultaneously. People see this floor plan and their first reaction is always the same thing. That can't be a real house. It is. And the 10 I'm about to show you are going to completely wreck your expectations of what a barndominium can be. Subscribe to Barndominium Haven right now and hit the bell. Because this is the kind of content that doesn't exist anywhere else, serious architectural breakdowns of barndominium forms that most people don't even know are possible. Drop a comment right now, have you ever seen an S-shaped barndominium before today? Yes or no? I want to know. Let's get into it. Before we get into the 30 seconds of context. Because you need this. An S-shaped barndominium isn't just a building that looks like an S from above. It's a building whose geometry creates two separate courtyard-facing concave surfaces pointing in opposite directions. One curve opens north. One curve opens south. Or one opens to the view. One opens to the entry. The building is simultaneously turning toward two different things at once. That's not just aesthetic. That's spatial strategy. And when it's executed well, it's one of the most site-responsive building forms in residential architecture. When it's executed badly, it's a drainage nightmare and a structural headache. I'll tell you which is which as we go. Okay. Number 1. Build 1. The gentle S. This is the entry point for anyone nervous about committing to a full dramatic curve. And honestly, it's my favorite starting point for clients who are as curious but not as committed. The curve here is subtle. Maybe a 15-degree deviation from straight on each arm. From the outside, it reads as a gently bending building, almost like the structure is responding to the landscape rather than imposing on it. But inside, that subtle curve does something remarkable to the long axis of the building. Rooms that would be perfectly rectangular in a straight plan become slightly trapezoidal. And trapezoid rooms, when they're done right, feel more dynamic, more interesting, more alive than any rectangle. The mistake people make with the gentle S is undercommitting to the curve and ending up with a building that just looks like it was built slightly wrong. If you're doing the S, commit to it. Even the gentle version needs to be intentional enough to read as a deliberate design decision. Build 2. The hillside S. And this is where the S shape starts showing off. Sloped sites are a problem for rectangular buildings. You're either cutting into the hill on one side and raising the foundation on the other, which costs money, or you're terracing, which costs more money. The S shape follows the contour. Each arm of the S steps with the slope, the building bending to track the natural grade rather than fighting it. The result is a structure that feels grown from the land rather than placed on top of it. I've seen this executed on sites with a 12-foot grade change across the building's footprint. Sites that would have been nightmares for any other form. The S turned them into the most naturally integrated residential buildings I've ever photographed. If you've got a sloped site and you're frustrated, draw an S over your topographic map. You might be surprised what you find. Build 3. The river S. This one specifically for properties with a natural water feature, a river, a creek, a pond edge. Any curved natural boundary. The concept is straightforward. You mirror the curve of the water in the curve of the building. The S shape follows the bank. Every room in the building maintains a consistent relationship to the water's edge, no room is dramatically closer or further than any other. What you get is a building where the water feels like it belongs to the whole house simultaneously. Not just the living room. Not just the master bedroom. Every space. This is site-responsive architecture at its most literal. And honestly, it's one of the most emotionally satisfying things you can do on a waterfront property. The building and the landscape are in conversation. You feel that from the inside every single day. Build 4. The courtyard S. Okay, this is where it gets genuinely clever. Because the S shape, by definition, creates two concave faces. One on each arm. And if you're thinking architecturally, those two concave faces are two natural outdoor rooms. The concave side of the north arm becomes a sheltered south-facing courtyard. The concave side of the south arm becomes a north-facing garden. Two completely different outdoor environments. Two different light qualities. Two different thermal characters. One building. This is my favorite spatial trick in the entire S-shaped catalog. You're not adding a courtyard as an afterthought, the courtyard is generated by the geometry itself. The building creates it automatically. One courtyard for morning coffee in the sun. One for afternoon shade when it's hot. The building rotates your outdoor life with the sun. That's not an accident. That's design. Build 5. The industrial S. Same S geometry. Completely different material language. Exposed Corten steel cladding. Raw. Weathering. Getting more beautiful as it oxidizes. Standing seam roof in dark charcoal. Oversized industrial windows, steel frames, minimal sightlines. Concrete slab floors visible through the glazing. The S-curve in an industrial material palette does something unexpected, it softens the rawness of the materials. The curve introduces organic movement into what would otherwise be a brutally hard aesthetic. It's the tension between the curve and the material that makes this one work. Hard materials, soft geometry. That contrast is doing all the heavy lifting. The mistake to avoid here is adding decorative elements to try and warm it up. Don't do it. Trust the contrast. Let the curve do the softening. The moment you start adding timber accents and board and batten panels to an industrial S, you've lost the plot. Build 6. The single slope S. And this one keeps me up at night. In the best way. Each arm of the S gets its own monopitch roof, sloping in opposite directions. So as you move along the building, the roofline is constantly shifting orientation. High wall on the left arm. High wall on the right arm. The ridge line, if you can even call it that, traces the S-curve from one end of the building to the other. From the exterior, this creates one of the most dynamic roofline silhouettes in residential architecture. It never reads the same way twice depending on where you're standing. And inside? The clerestory windows follow the curve. The raked ceiling follows the curve. Natural light enters from alternating directions in each arm. You move through the building and the light changes character completely as you transition from one arm to the other. This is the S-shape performing at its highest architectural level. It's complex to detail and engineer. It's worth every penny of the effort. Build 7. The family S. This is the one I recommend most often for large families or multi-generational households. And here's why. The S naturally divides into two arms. You assign each arm a distinct program. One arm is the parent's domain, primary suite, home office, adult living space. The other arm is the kid's domain, bedrooms, bathrooms, playroom, all the noise and chaos. The connecting zone, the waist of the S, is the shared family hub. Kitchen. Dining. Main living space. The place where everyone comes together. The S-shape creates genuine acoustic and visual separation between the two domestic zones without building a wall down the middle of your house. The curve does it naturally. You can't see from one arm into the other. You can't easily hear from one arm into the other. Privacy through geometry. Not through drywall. That's elegant. That's what good architecture does. Build 8. The transparent S. Both concave faces, fully glazed. Floor to ceiling. The entire interior curve of each arm is glass. During the day, from inside the building, you're simultaneously looking out to two completely different landscape views, one from each arm. The building frames two separate relationships with the outside world at once. At night, and this is the detail I can't stop thinking about, the building glows from both concave sides simultaneously. Two curved walls of warm interior light facing outward in opposite directions. From the air it looks like a living organism. The engineering challenge here is real. Curved glazing systems are expensive. But you don't have to do true curved glass. A faceted glazing approach with flat panels approximating the curve works structurally and aesthetically and costs significantly less. Don't let anyone sell you true curved glass unless you've exhausted the faceted option first. The difference in visual impact from a normal viewing distance is minimal. The difference in cost is not. Build 9. The passive S. This is the one that makes environmental engineers genuinely excited. Orient the S so the concave face of the south arm faces due south. That concave surface, curving toward the sun, acts as a solar collector. Every room on the south-facing arm receives direct winter sun from a slightly different angle, extending the solar gain period throughout the day beyond what a flat south-facing wall achieves. The north arm's concave face closes toward the cold north. Minimal glazing. Maximum insulation. The curve wraps the building away from the cold. The S is simultaneously opening toward solar gain and closing against heat loss. 1. Geometry. 2. Environmental strategies. Executing simultaneously. Combined with closed-cell spray foam, a properly sized mechanical system, and operable clearstory venting in the south arm, this building can perform remarkably well thermally. Not passive house, but genuinely efficient in a way that a rectangular building of equivalent size can't match without significantly more mechanical intervention. Build 10. The fully resolved S. And I promised you this one would hit different. This is the one where every decision compounds. It's sited on a gentle slope, hillside S principles applied. It follows the contour of a creek on the property, river S principles applied. The south arm's concave face is fully glazed and solar optimized, passive S principles applied. The north arm is Corten steel, minimal glazing, thermally tight, industrial S restraint applied. Each arm gets a monopitch roof sloping in opposite directions, single slope S roofline applied. The two concave faces create two distinct courtyard spaces, courtyard S principles applied. The program zones family living in one arm and private sleeping in the other, family S zoning applied. This isn't a building that does one thing brilliantly. It's a building that does everything simultaneously. Sight. Light. Air. Program. Material. Geometry. All of it working together. All of it generated by one decision made at the very beginning of the design process. Draw an S on the land. That's the whole decision. Everything else follows from it. That is what great architecture does. One move. Complete consequences. 10 S-shaped barndominiums. 10 completely different expressions of the same geometric idea. And here's what they all have in common. Every single one of them starts with a designer who was willing to ask a question most people never ask. What if the building didn't go straight? That's it. That's the whole question. And look at what comes out the other side when you take it seriously. Buildings that follow landscapes. Buildings that chase light. Buildings that create outdoor rooms without trying to. Buildings that zone family life through geometry instead of walls. The S-shape isn't complicated. It's just committed. And commitment, in architecture like in everything else, is what separates the buildings people forget from the ones they can't stop thinking about. Subscribe to Barndominium Haven. Leave me a comment, which of the 10 hit hardest for you? Because your answer is going to shape what I design next on this channel. See you in the next one.